Welcome to Fables of the Fog, the least serious Dead by Daylight podcast on the internet. My name is EarthToLydia. I'm a very boosted survivor main.
I am Earthan, and I main Jake and Trapper.
I'm Nate. I'm a console player, and I play Jeff, the survivor, and I play Ghostface, the killer. And welcome to our podcast.
This is our corner of the internet where we share ridiculous stories and occasionally have others do the same thing.
So grab your blanket, get around that campfire, don't touch that hex perk, and we hope you enjoy your stay.
Hi and welcome back to episode 2 of Fables of the Fog. Today we are joined by a very special guest.
Our guest tonight kindly offered to join us. He's the killer main that plays the best dame with a bunny mask. And also, he calls it a hair, but we don't care. It's Max, also known as Custard.
Hi, I've probably camped you at some point.
Relatable. Max, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Today we're going to be discussing choosing your main, and more specifically, because we're a little bit egotistical, we're going to be talking about the mains that we chose. So, Max, first of all, do you want to, like Nate kind of said there, that you're a Huntress main in a roundabout way. Do you want to go into explaining why you decided to choose Huntress, or why you currently play Huntress?
Yeah, well, I continued to play Huntress after picking her, to not fully answer your question. I continued to play her because she's got a lot of mechanical depth, which is really, really fun long term. But I initially picked her because she has a cute mask, and she hums, and axes are cool, and yeah.
Real talk though, has anybody actually been axe throwing in real life? It's so much fun.
I have not.
I have not.
It genuinely is so much fun. And the bad thing is as well, like, they make you sign a waiver at the start to say that you're not drunk, but everybody that I went with was definitely drunk beforehand. Anyway.
No.
Good.
That's besides the point. But yeah, fellow man of culture, Max enjoys a bit of Huntress. You were actually saying, because we did make a massive blunder and we fucked up on recording this episode once before. You did
Team we.
Well, okay,
Yes.
all right. I take full responsibility. It's fine. But you did mention something quite interesting, and that was that you occasionally sometimes go over to another killer.
You mean like all of them? I pretty much play everything
Oh.
these days. Except Nurse and Hag. They're terrible.
Oh, I was specifically meaning Legion.
Oh, yeah, I like Julie. She steps on me.
Is it?
Makes me feel things that no woman ever could.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a fair point. Have you seen her thighs? Anyway, right.
No way.
Yeah, it's...
Jesus.
I feel like a lot of people that choose Legion specifically choose Legion for a certain skin. Like, they have their favorite of the Legion.
Most people in my experience pick Susie, and most people are also losers. I wonder if there's a correlation between those two groups of people.
That Venn diagram is a circle. I'm just saying. So as far as all of our current mains go as well, going to be focusing a little bit on the killer side more this episode. It is going to be quite killer heavy, mostly because, as we mentioned last week, survivors are just kind of a reskin of each other once you get all of the teachables unlocked. So as far as killers go, you do actually have to pay more attention to their powers and what is available to you. When I'm talking about like killer mains specifically, I think I do lean quite a bit more towards Huntress, although I'll play any killer if it's for a daily, unless it's a nurse daily, in which case I definitely reroll it every single time. Doesn't matter what it is, it could be a Mori one, I'm still rerolling it. Fanta, what is your current main in the game as far as killers go?
Overall, I made Trapper. I have been enjoying playing Myers recently because, for whatever reason, I seem to either get clear up 4 times as Myers as a daily, Mori someone as Myers for a daily. I enjoy playing Myers, but I do lean towards Trapper because I just feel like Trapper is one of the more satisfying killers to do well with. People say that he's on the low end in terms of some of the killers, but it's really satisfying when you place a trap and someone steps in your trap because you clearly thought about where they may end up and preemptively set up a trap to catch a survivor. So, like Max and Lydia said, they main Huntress. and I'm sure a lot of it comes down to like the satisfaction of hitting a long distance projectile or hitting over something that you never knew you could, or you were surprised that you could. For me, I feel like Trapper is the second most satisfying killer behind Huntress for that reason, because like I said, you have to preemptively think about where survivors will end up stepping so you can trap them and basically snap their ankles and be able to catch up to them even quicker.
It's the ultimate mind game. Although, having said that, you do play an awful lot of pretty much every single killer.
Yeah, I do. Well, there's a couple killers I don't really play often. For example, Spirit. I know she's one of the better killers in the game, but I just feel like I need a bit of a challenge sometimes. And that's kind of why I play a bunch of different killers, because I know if I play one religiously, then I'll just end up winning every game. And part of what I feel brings me back to this game is being unsure of what the outcome of a game will be, whether you'll get like all killed as a killer or whether you will escape as a survivor. So yeah, Spirit I kind of lean away from. Oni as well, I kind of lean away from, even though I know a lot of people enjoy him. It's just not for me, because I don't really like his playstyle. I feel like you have to slug to get the best out of him. Yeah, kind of a dirty pleasure actually is Legion, because I just feel like my build on him basically just either destroyed people who are actually trying to escape, or makes people just give up and not want to play because they're constantly injured and they don't want to heal, and then they're just not doing generator, so it eventually gives up. But yeah, I pretty much play all the killers. I won't really shy away from any killer. It doesn't really bother me. But if I had to pick favorites, I'd pick Trapper definitely, Myers definitely, Piggy as well, and also Demogorgon, which it makes me sad that not many people play Demogorgon, but people have their own preferences.
So there's going to be a slight difference here, because if you listen to what these three said, two of them have got more of a projectile-based set of movements, and then one of them's more strategic. My play style is pretty much the play style of a fart, silent but deadly, because I play Ghostface. Instead of doing, I guess, what is meant to happen with Ghostface, where you try and stalk and get the insta-down, I prefer to try and use his power as a slightly more powerful wraith, where I can trigger his Night Shroud when I can, to try and go from being in chase where everyone kind of knows where I am, to being like, first I was behind you, now I'm in front of you. You thought I was there, but now I'm here too. It kind of like using that to mind game the survivors to try and think that they're safe when they're not, because the amount of times where you find survivors that don't really look behind them, and you've turned on Night Shroud, and you've got no red stain, no terror radius, and you can go from where they've just dropped the pallet, come out in front of them and stab them and get you down, hook them, and then move on, and have no one know which way you're coming from. So they're always on edge and always either trying to move so they can't run into you, trying to patrol gems, or always looking behind them to the point where at some points they miss skill checks, so you know where they are. It's just kind of like using that to get in their head and make them think, so where's this dickhead gonna pop up next? And where the fuck is he gonna get me? And especially with the stealth mechanic of Ghostface and any other like stealth killer, you can go up and you can get gen grabs pretty easily, and that's always fun, because I know how fucking shit scared I get when I get grabbed off the gen, and I'm like, oh fuck's sake! It's that instant reaction of like, oh fucking hell, because you don't expect it, because you're obviously like not paying enough attention, or like you're just talking to your friends on voice chat when you're a survivor, and then you're just getting grabbed or hit out of nowhere.
The other thing that I wanted to know as well is, have your current mains always been your mains?
Yes.
Yep, from the get-go you were like, I like Bunny.
Yes.
I like hair. I stick with hair.
Because back then there were a lot fewer killers. I played back before Leatherface came out. I think Huntress was the most recent killer that had come out. And also I hadn't bought DLC yet, so my choices were very limited, and Nurse is very hard. So also Wraith was really bad back then. He was very, very bad back then.
Hey, but on release he was a top 3 killer.
I wonder why.
Let's not go down this rabbit hole. Let's not make that a joke. Okay, let's not make that a pun. Right? Max, would you say it was love at first hatchet?
I probably missed my first hatchet, to be honest. Like, I know someone that's actually incredibly good on Huntress on console, like better than most people on PC. Yeah, like I've seen her play. She's actually insane.
I know a lot of people argue that Huntress is probably even harder than Nurse on console.
No, I disagree.
Some do.
Disagree.
Some say that. Some say that she's like right up there with difficulty.
I mean, she's definitely harder than what it looks like it should be. Obviously, like from watching you and other streamers, it seems so easy to pick up Huntress and just chuck hatchets in its survivors, but it's not as easy as it looks on console, because obviously it's more of like trying to get the movement while you've got like free movement with your mouse, really, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got analog sticks. We've got to like try and make guesses in advance properly in order to hit them. I've been trying to play Destiny because I tried to do the Adept. It's a lot harder as such an FPS killer to get hits on console.
Yeah, because I mean, with Huntress on PC as well, you've got your movement, your hatchet, everything when you're sniping in a hatchet is just on your mouse. It's just the one movement. You don't even need to touch your keyboard at all unless you're actively following a survivor. On console, you pretty much got to use your entire controller.
In a way, yeah.
But anyway, we've spoken a little bit about who our current mains are, previous mains as well. That is what I was going to ask you guys next, Nate.
So, I used to be exactly where Fanta is. I used to play Trapper quite a lot, and that was mainly because when I first started playing Killer, it was around the first Hollow Blight and the first, like, Halloween event that they did. No one liked that, did they? Apparently. It was kind of like where you had to do one Survivor side and one Killer side. I don't want to say that I felt like I was made to play Killer as such, but it's kind of like it did kind of make me feel like I had to play Killer before they then changed it after I was already finished. And it was just sort of like, okay, whose skin do I like the most and who seems to be a good like entry-level killer? So I chose Trapper, and somehow by sheer fucking luck I got to red ranks as Trapper, and I instantly realized I was out of my league because I got fucked over so many times with traps that I thought were so smart but were obviously so fucking obvious. And it was kind of like, with the tactical style of Hag and Trapper, you really got to know where the best points are to place your traps, and being entry-level killer with no real fucking clue what you're doing it just for a challenge so you can get some orange jizz to buy a cosmetic. It's really difficult to keep yourself in the mindset of, I'm going to play this killer well, when you're just kind of like going, nah, I'm doing it just to get this, isn't it? It's, in a way, taken away from the gameplay that you put yourself in, because you've got to think about how you're going to do this. Is it going to be a good trap? Are you going to be able to get someone in it, or are you just wasting all of your time that you could be pressuring gens, putting down these traps? Where Old Ruin used to be so good, but having a killer that you're just playing, your very first killer, and not having Ruin, that really, really damaged Trapper's pressure and start of game. It became more fun, obviously, over time when you've started leveling up and getting all of your perks, and you get a good sense of your power, and you know, Jeff's gonna vault this pallet and step in my trap, so I'm not gonna break through the pallet, I'm just gonna set a trap in front of it. And you feel so rewarded because you're like, yes, the dickhead fell for it, and then you carry on. It becomes fun once you start to understand the character's power and you have good perks.
That is actually quite interesting that you mentioned that about the Hallowed Blight event, and that's what got you into Killer, because when I actually started playing the game, it was right after Kate and Clown came out, and it was during the barbecue event. So yeah. I joined right at the start of the barbecue event, and then you had to play Killer because you had to get a certain amount of hooks for that challenge. That was purely a case of like, if I don't play Killer now, I am not going to be able to get these cosmetics. So I think I just dove headfirst into whatever killer it was. I honestly don't even remember what it was because it was just whoever I could play to get the challenge done, and then I'll forget about killer again until the next thing comes along.
And now you still don't have those cosmetics, do you?
Yeah, Behavior took them off me again. Behavior, please. I know you said don't open individual support tickets, but I've opened one, and you told me to get lost, and it's been like 3 months, and I still don't have my free Songbird shirt or my propane hammer. Please give them back. I promise I had them before. Please. Sincerely, Lydia. Okay, Fanta. Fanta. Has Trapper always been your main? Or did you experiment with the others when you were first in the game? Or has it always just been, no, Evan's my boy, that's it?
Well, it kind of has always been Evans, my boy, but I haven't shied away from playing other killers. When I got into the game, it was in December 2016, and Hag was the most recent killer at the time. And whilst at the beginning, I didn't want to go too far out my comfort zone, so Trapper was the first killer I played, because I actually tried Dead by Daylight on a free weekend for a couple of reasons, and Trapper was basically the killer that I played. Yeah, I just felt really comfortable with Trapper. I was able to do pretty well, even though I was like low rank, and all I saw was people playing the game and just playing the different killers, not really being educational, but just going around and just showing off like what each killer can do. Yeah, I can honestly say that not only was I a killer main when I started this game, but I just literally only played Trapper. Eventually I did get onto trying other killers. Like I said, Myers is one of my favorite killers to play, because just like Nate's main Ghostface, his approach is kind of, you can sneak up pretty much from the shadows on survivors, and you can be very dangerous. With Old Ruin, one of my favorite builds to do was actually Scratch Mirror, and anyone who's played that build knows how fun that can be. Yeah, once I really tried Myers, it kind of opened my eyes to like different kind of playstyles you can adopt depending on the killer you can play, and how fun it is to actually try different killers. And then I just branched out. I even played Billy for a while, even though I felt like he was one of the highest skill caps, because you need to like charge up your chainsaw. People know what the default charge up time is without add-ons, and then they learn your add-ons and how quickly you can charge up. So yeah, but I've pretty much always been a Trapper main. I could spend a long time playing one specific killer, whether that be Myers, Hillbilly. Even, I will admit, I played Nurse to get the rank 1 killer achievement. I was that guy. Yeah, Evan's always been my boy. Kind of depends the way you look at it, because my favorite add-on to run on Evan is the Iridescent Stone, which opens the bear trap up every 30 seconds. That's not currently open, but back in like the old updates of the game, you didn't always have this add-on, so you literally had to go around and set up your traps, pick them up and reset them if people disarmed them. But then Trapper, you were able to set traps under hooks. Also, I want to pick up on one thing, you know, like Nate said with Ghostface. Obviously he has this component, which is you go in Night Shroud, you stalk, and that's not how a lot of people play him. You can do something similar with the Trapper, where you can just cut off points where you know the loops are really dangerous and you can just chase after them. That's like one playstyle you can take. You couldn't really pick up your trap and set them at pallets like you can now, because the trap setting time back then was really bad. You could set like 2 traps and basically 2 generators could be done. Like, that's how bad I would describe it. Even if I do play other killers, Trapper will always be the one I fall back to, because he is the killer that I feel like I can achieve the best results with. Even though he's weak, I feel like in the right hands, or in my hands at least, I feel like I always have a chance of killing all the survivors, which obviously will only encourage you to play killer more if you're having second thoughts, or you're just like thinking, oh, should I try killer? You know, if you consistently do well with the killer, it's gonna not only make you want to play killer more, but it's gonna make you want to play that character more. So yeah, pretty much from day one, Trapper main, and that hasn't changed in 3 years, and probably won't change in 10 years if this game's still going by then.
I thought that was interesting what you said about using Nurse to get the rank 1 achievement, because I used Nurse to get the rank 20 achievement. So yeah.
The rank 20 destroying achievement. I see how it is.
For me personally, when I started picking a main as far as the killers went, I actually went for Freddy first, and I absolutely loved Freddy. Don't anybody get the wrong idea. I'm not talking about like Resident Sleeper Freddy that we all play against now, or that has recently been abolished. I mean pre-rework Freddy, where you had to manually like drag people into the dream world and wait 7 seconds and then give them a smack afterwards. That was the Freddy that I absolutely loved playing, and I just thought it was really, really rewarding to play a killer that everybody said is like, you know, the weakest killer in the game and ridiculously underpowered, and there's no way that you can ever get to rank 1 being a Freddy main. I actually reached my highest killer rank that I had ever gotten at the time, just with Freddy, just Freddy alone. And I know when there were a lot of Freddy mains before his rework as well, they would completely stomp in the game, and they really knew what they were doing. You could just tell by being in an old Freddy game, like, these players really know what's up. They know how to mind game. They know how to use their power the most effectively. They know pretty much when to do everything to an exact second, more or less. Because if they fucked up, it could really cost them the whole game. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Freddy pre-rework. Rip Freddy. Sorry, forever in our hearts. Gone but not forgotten. Bring him back. I don't even care if it's just like an extra DLC. Just bring him back. So for me, it was, and still kind of is, the challenge of the killer. because obviously Huntress and Old Freddy, they were both very technical and required you to pay an awful lot of attention. And I mean, I'm sure I speak on behalf of a lot of killer mains, even as a survivor main saying this, but from a killer point of view, it's so much more focus that's required in the game, just consistently from start to finish, whereas survivor, you can kind of watch a YouTube video on another screen or on your phone or whatever and zone out for a bit, but killer really just take solid concentration. Do you think that a lot of people choose their killer based on how technical they are, or do you think other people choose their mains based on how easy it is to get a 4K?
I kind of think it's a bit of both, to be fair. I know DBD, the first step of them getting like licensed killers was obviously Michael Myers, and then you look at some of the greatest horror movie franchises. You have Myers, you have Freddy, you have Leatherface, you have Pig, Demogorgon, and Ghostface, obviously all characters that have movies centered around them. Some players will join the game and they'll play those killers because they love the movies that they're in. I don't know, I just feel like from my point of view, a lot of people won't really go for a killer based on how easy it is to do well with them. I think it's just a case of what killer in their eyes will give them the most satisfaction playing this game. People may feel like it's satisfying puking on survivors with plague and just having them sick and then running around and smacking them down and showing how vulnerable they really are because they're one hit and they refuse to cleanse. Other people may like just being annoying and stabbing people with Legion until they eventually get bored and give up. You know, other people also like what Pig can do, for example, and she can go into crouch and dash around and not essentially remove the safety of pallets, but, you know, make survivors think twice, like, should I drop a pallet? Is the pallet that I am at safe enough to run around? Will a pig be able to catch me if I don't drop a pallet? Stuff like that. So yeah, I do think it comes down to what kind of satisfaction a player does get from playing a specific killer.
Me like vomit, me main plague. Yeah.
Any plague main out there, let us know.
No, there are none. I kind of disagree, at least partly, with what you say, because there are people that, when Nurse was the killer to just win with, there are people that would pick Nurse up as their first killer and wouldn't play anything else because everything else was just significantly weaker after they got Nurse. And then when Spirit came out, there were people that just played Spirit because she was so strong. When Old Legion, that you could win, I say win, you could like kill 2 people without even playing the game just by moonwalking at them. When they were talking about changing Legion, there were people on the most dreaded of places, the Twitter replies, saying, no, please don't. Why are you removing the only fun killer in the game? This is the only killer I can actually do well with. It's like, you're not playing the game at that point. So like, you're right with like that people will gravitate towards what satisfies them, but there are a lot of people that don't care about anything other than the number of people that die.
Yeah.
You see less people go with Nurse right away because she's got quite a steep learning curve, and you are seeing more people just pick up Spirit and play Spirit relentlessly and then not switch off Spirit because a lot of killers are weaker than Spirit, or at least a lot less consistent, or they require a lot more effort to do as well, and life's short, so they just keep going with Spirit.
Yeah. That's a really good point as well. A lot of people that do pick up Nurse as their first killer, they're obviously not learning things like how to effectively win a chase by doing anything other than blinking to the other end of the loop. It's definitely very difficult to pick up as your first killer, but
Nurse plays a different game.
Yeah, she really does.
Spirit mostly does as well.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the time you don't even need to worry about how to win at a loop. You can just pretend to phase walk, and then the survivor runs away into the open, and then you just run up behind him, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
It's okay. We've all done it. Yeah. We've all done it. Everybody who's played Spirit has done that at some point. But yeah, we've spoken an awful lot about Killer, but we will just like dip our toes into Survivor for the end of it. So, if everybody's got a Survivor main, who would you say it is?
Laurie, because she was the only blonde at the time, and and when you've already when you've only got one survivor maxed out with pretty much every single perk, and then they put another blonde in, Kate, with cosmetics, you kind of don't want to spend a bunch of blood points on her, so you just stick with what you got.
Yeah,
and
gotta represent that 11%.
Yeah, also the blue clothing is nice. It's very neat. I like the simple color schemes. I'm a very simple boy.
I mean, I made this joke yesterday, but I've got to make it again. I have to approve of all the blue, otherwise it goes against my entire brand. So, yeah, I can't argue with that.
I used to play Neo, and it was only because it was just sort of like, who was the most emo? And it was just sort of like, who can I make look emo enough to fit how I feel on the inside? So I became a emo woman.
I like how it's left at that. So I became an emo woman.
It was, it makes me sound really dodgy, you know, but like, it was how it was. It was just kind of like, I want to be emo, and the only one that's emo enough for me is a woman. So, like, I'm now this emo woman who I think, isn't she from, like, is it Sweden or something like that?
Yeah, she's Swedish.
Yeah. So I'm like this emo Swede. I'm just like chilling, you know, using my balance, using my urban evasion, you know, making myself disappear in a blink of an eye. And then as it went through, and I started to, I guess, my time in the game grew on. And when Legion came out, he had Jeff. And I was starting to go more into sort of like, in my personal life, from emo music to metal music.
What's
and
the
it was
difference?
kind of more, wow. There isn't a lot, okay, but there is some.
There's some distinction.
there's-
Metalheads are grown-up emos.
Yeah, it's more of the fact of an exclamation mark that it isn't a phase, Mum, okay? Like, so I kind of then went to play Jeff because I connected with him a little bit more than I did with Nia then. So it was kind of like less of a switch and more of like a development or an evolution. Sort of like I evolved from I want to listen to MCR and join a marching band and be in the Black Parade to I want to listen to Slipknot and push my fingers into my eyes. And like I feel like Jeff is the kind of guy that you can go to a metal show with and just open that pit up and be like, yeah, boy, the Mandem's in it. Like, and as the fact that he's slightly overweight, like I am, he's got a beard, so do I. He kind of connects with everything that I kind of stand for. I enjoy sort of like a character that you can connect with on like a certain level. That's why playing games like this intrigue me, because you can pick who you feel closest represented by. As Max said, Laurie was the only blonde at the time. I know that Lydia doesn't really play a certain person at the minute, but like I know you really used to like you used to try and main Fang, and then it went to Kate because Kate kind of in a way looked like you.
Oh,
the way
I'm
that you
flattered.
like made her look. It was just kind of like blonde hair, you know, slightly country.
Who do you think I am, Taylor Swift?
Nah, she's got singing talent.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I've heard your
Okay.
firework
Never knew
cover.
this was a flaming podcast.
I'm gonna cut Nate off there. Fanta, what drew you to Jake?
Okay, so unlike me not changing killer mains, I was that guy who started off when I played Survivor leveling up Claudette because to me, I could not do anything injured, which obviously now my playstyle is completely different playing Survivor. I don't care if I'm healthy or injured. With that being said, if you expect me to play No Miser all the time, that won't happen. However, I did start off as a Claudette main, and then eventually they made the changes to healing, so it made healing longer. And when they did that, I was like, okay, I don't want to bring medikits every game. I want a perk that at least makes me quieter, if not completely silent. And that's obviously where Jake comes in, because Jake has a perk called Iron Will. So I feel like that perk is, in my opinion, the best Survivor perk in the game. You guys may think other perks are, but yeah, Iron Will just pretty much suits my playstyle. It's just basically a staple in all of my Survivor builds, apart from if I play Ace, but Ace is quiet enough as he is. You don't really need Iron Will, it won't make much of a difference. But yeah, I leveled up Jake. Plus, one of the cool things about Jake is that, well, it's Jake, he's the best boy, and also you could buy him a cowboy hat, so why not play Jake? You can have him yeehawing across the map as he goes for unhook, and then eventually gets to the exit gate and then ride off onto a sunset on his fucking horse. Probably Maurice from the Asylum map. But yeah,
and then take the horses in the back, you know?
This is some imagery coming to my head right now.
Jake and Maurice are secretly best buddies, just letting you know. But yeah, like back on topic, it's like Jake basically had Iron Will, which is pretty much a staple in all my builds. I can't play a Survivor game without it. Doesn't mean that I don't, but I noticed that I do struggle a lot more. I did play David a bit, just basically because he had a shirtless cosmetic. On that note, I find it ironic how DVD makes you pay actual money for basically a cosmetic that is nothing. But that's a different debate for a different time.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, that is a very fair point, and it's kind of weird when you look at it that way. But yeah, eventually, because I wanted to play with Iron Will, and obviously back when I first started playing Survivor, I wasn't that great. I kept dying, and I just found it would be a mixture of things. It'd be like I would be making bad decisions. I wouldn't know how to loop. When I was injured, I would try and hide, hoping the killer wouldn't hear me. And then when I started using Iron Will, I noticed that I wasn't dying at 4 generators left, and I was able to juke a killer with, hiding my blood in grass. Then I was able to get away from the killer, and then I found my survival rate going up and up. So then I just kept putting points into Jake, and then eventually he ended up with all the perks. And to this day, when a new DLC is released with a survivor, I get the new survivor perks and I get him on Jake because he pretty much has all the perks. And like Lydia's mentioned before, because survivors are just reskins. You can play whoever you want really, whether that's Ash or Dwight or Jake or Nia or Lori. The survivors are just reskins. It's whoever you like the look of. I find it cool how people pick their mains based off who they can resonate with and who they have some sort of attachment to, whether that's like looks or their story or whatever. But for me, it'll always be Jake. I don't think that'll ever change really.
Honestly, now that I think about it, same here, because the whole reason that I gravitated towards Feng to begin with was because she's a gamer girl. And, that's literally just her lore is she's a gamer girl. And I was like, you know what? Sick, same, let's represent.
As I said in the last podcast, she is your favourite gamer girl's favourite gamer girl.
Pretty much,
not there to love. Like, although I am surprised that Lydia wasn't drawn more towards David, due to them being in David's lore.
Oh, I am
being Mancunian.
I am. I am drawn to David.
Yeah, of course you are. Oh, look at these amps, man, you know?
He's Mancunian and he's a boxer. I mean, I have to love him. Right. Anyway, we have gone right up and over our allotted amount of time, so I guess we're just going to have to call an end to today's episode there. Max, do you have any final words that you would like to give to anybody that is listening/watching right now?
I wanted to, as a small continuation from the first episode, I wanted to correct the group here on why certain perks that they mentioned are actually good or bad. Iron Grasp is actually not a great perk, I feel, to start off with as a non-teachable for killer, purely because there's no visual indicator how long the survivor can wiggle for, so you kind of have to feel that out, and that's something that you want to learn early on. If you then want to bring Iron Grasp to augment that, that's better than becoming reliant on it early on. I also think that Unrelenting is probably one of the better perks in the game. This is not a joke. This is not an elaborate shitpost. It's genuine. At least from learning, it's good because it incentivizes you to be more aggressive, because if you miss your lunges, which you need to learn the distance of, it's less punishing. And the main thing that new killers struggle with is being aggressive in chases, because even a mediocre survivor will know to take advantage of a very passive killer. I'm using Unrelenting on Spirit because I like to swing out of phase a lot, and people dead hard me, and it's really upsetting. So Unrelenting stops that. It's brilliant, and I'm also using it on Deathslinger because sometimes you need to swing, cancel your grapples, so it's got some niche uses. I used to use it on Billy as well. That screwed some people up. They were not expecting that. It's one of those weird perks that's strangely strong, partly because no one expects you to use it. And basically, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for being on. But yeah, that's the other thing as well, is you can never completely write off a perk and say that it's useless on no one, because they might come out with a killer in the future that actually really takes to that perk, and you're like, oh, well, I never would have thought to run this before, but it makes an awful lot of sense. So never completely write off any perk unless it's Monster Shrine. But yeah. Max, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
It's your pleasure.
You're right, it is. Where can we find you? Where is your corner of the internet, your safe space?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Koosted. I stream mostly killer. I don't take the game seriously at all. People don't like that sometimes, which is fun. I also have an alt Twitch account at twitch.tv/EarthToLydia/subscribe. I've made this joke 6 times in the past 2 days. And I'm going to keep doing it.
It sounds a lot like my Twitch channel, which is also twitch.tv/EarthToLydia/subscribe. I feel like there's something weird going on. Like, is Twitch still broken from 2011?
What a funny coincidence, because you can find me at twitch.tv/EarthToLydia.
How do we all have the same Twitch account? That's got to be a problem, right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like a glitch in the Matrix, love.
Damn, wait for the Amazon leak. All right. Also, if you do want to get involved with the next episode of the podcast or any upcoming episodes of the podcast, we do have a channel in my Discord server which is dedicated solely to the Fables of the Fog community ideas, where you can submit a subject that you want us to talk about, or suggest a guest, I suppose, or nominate yourself, volunteer as tribute, whatever you feel like. And Fanta, where can we find you as well?
You can find me on Twitch, Fan98, but instead of the A, you have a 4. So check me out. I play lots of Killer and Survivor, and yeah, I like that I play so badly that I feel like because of how stupid I play Killer and Survivor sometimes, you would laugh at my really bad play. So yeah, I'm having a bad day. Just check me out on Twitch. I'm sure I can make you laugh.
You can find me on Twitter at NateJames666, and also in Lydia's Twitch and Discord. Come hang out. We do a thing on Thursdays where we talk to the community, and you can ask us about any questions that you've had from last podcast and this one. Thank you, and we all love you.
I have a question. Why did Nate get 2 outros, and can I have 2?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I don't have anything prepared. Just go. End it.
Right.
So I was thinking of something in like 3 seconds. Didn't work out. Abort. Abort.
Thank you so much again to everybody who's listened to this week's episode. We will see you a little bit later. I don't know when exactly, but a little bit later. Bye.
See you later, you cheeky animal.
Oh my gosh.